Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back once again with WesttownHD
It is that time. What's going on, boys and girls?
and Revo.
Hello, fellow Super Robot Wars enjoyers.
And we are here fresh off the reveal of the Super Robot Wars Y full roster. And just in case you're not up to speed, let's go over that roster real quick. We have Raideen, Combattler V, Dunbine. Dunbine tells the Neo Bison well, Elgime, Zeta Gundam, Char's Counterattack, G Gundam, Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, Gundam Seed Destiny, Gundam The Witch from Mercury Season 1, Maz and Kaiser vs. the Great General of Darkness, Getaropo Arc, Majestic Prince, Macross Delta and the Macross Delta movie, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection, my apologies, Godzilla Singular Point, Dino Zenon, and of course we have our originals. And something I didn't notice before reading this technically has the third Code Geass compilation movie listed, which is interesting. I guess for the Albion Zero again, but yeah. That's interesting. So yes, SRDY, the wait is finally over. We finally know what every series is going to be in the base game. How do you guys feel overall about this?
I've had some time to think about it. It's been a few hours. And my initial response was a little disappointing just because it felt really safe and, not really as, I guess, ambitious as I would have liked for a game that took much longer to come out than the usual ones we were used to. But overall, I'm still walking away positive. There's still a lot of potential here. I'm really excited to see Destiny back, as well as the Dunbines coming back. So overall, I'd say I'm rather positive now.
Okay, what about you, Revo?
I feel pretty good too. Honestly, having Raideen, it's like this roster reveal almost feels like a weird revelation of a bunch of things. You have Macross back in, you have Raideen, so that means Akira Kamiya, and Godzilla Singular Point is also wild, but also fits in with Dino Zenon. So
that's for me personally. I do like it. I think my biggest concern is just the lack of new series. Because you go back in time to I don't know, SRWZ, Raven Z2, or really even V, recent games like that. And you compare the amount of new series introduced into that to this, it's kind of a jarring difference. And my worry is that, and once again, I don't have a complete thing to base this off of, just a worry of mine, is that since we're doing DLC and DLC is confirmed 2 packs and I think 12
five units each?
Yeah, 5 units. So 10 new units that maybe they're going to cut new series from this point on just so that they can sell it back to us as DLC. Which I hope not, but this is Bandai Namco we're talking about, so.
they can take my money.
See, it's less about the money for me. I don't mind paying for them. It's just that I feel like whenever they do debut these things as DLC, there's no way to splinter them into the plot.
Yeah, it's with 30, it kind of works, because I know if you get Combattler and Voltes together, they all have specific insert dialogue. I know Dankoga has quotes for the final antagonist of Gridman, so it kind of works, but it's a very messy thing to get into, and it's just, I don't know, I would rather them just devote the time once they put out this game to move on to the next one. I just feel like if them getting hung up on DLC means we have to wait another 3 to 4 years after Y for the next one, I wouldn't enjoy that.
Yeah, see, the biggest thing for me that stands out that I didn't like with 30's DLC was IBO. It's because IBO, obviously, new Gundam series, it was only used as DLC. We never got the full plot development. We never saw most of the mechs from the show. And you just get stuck with the endgame stuff, like Barbados Lupus Rex and Bale and all that. And it's not as satisfying. And then in the next game, Y is not even here. So that's the only way you get to experience IBO in a proper SRW now. And that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So when it comes to DLC like that, I'm very on the fence about it, but who knows? We could obviously get, I don't know, just returning OG mechs or returning stuff that we've already seen, but time will tell with that. But
another thing as well to note is that there is not a single DLC character from 30 in this roster.
That was surprising.
That the DLC was setting up. I was oh, they went out of their way to make Final Dankoga or Ultimate Dankoga. I was oh, sick, this is cool. They gave Kiriko a new scope dog. They added Voltes into HD. Sakura Wars, they had all of these DLCs, and IBO, I was like, this is 100% a prerequisite. It's going to be in the next game. They're going to do the plot. They already have the models. There's not a single one in here. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, that really is weird because you went through all the effort to make all those and you don't reuse them, which this series loves doing that. So that's especially crazy. Like, just look at this roster. Like, most of these things were in the past few games, except for like Raiden and the new stuff.
Yeah, it's.
I just wonder what's going on
strange.
over there at Bandai and their thought process.
I'm also wondering I feel like it's not really that big a deal anymore, but I'm wondering if the roster was affected because of them bringing it over to North America, but I feel like they figured all that stuff out and they don't have any issues with bringing over like whatever anime they want to license over here.
That's true. We don't know the details with that.
But they're releasing this one on the PlayStation Store and on like the eShop and everything, so it's like I wonder if something changed or if they always had the ability to do that and they just simply didn't.
One day I would love a behind the scenes look of what goes into all that, but we may never know.
Absolutely.
Sadly.
I wonder if our next presentation as well, because SRW 30, they had a few of these presentations, but they were like in English. They were on Bandai Namco America's page. So I wonder if, because we didn't get that for Y this morning. So I wonder if we'll get that again at some point.
Yeah. So even though we have only a few debuting series, let's talk about each one and how interesting they are. So we have Godzilla Singular Point, Dino Zenon, and technically the Macross movie. Well, Macross Delta movie. I think it goes without saying Godzilla is the biggest surprise here, although a few people did call it, surprisingly, because I think the wording, the initial trailer for Y was like a looming calamity, and people were like, oh, Godzilla. So, yeah. So how do we feel about the big lizard himself finally making his debut?
Reva, you go ahead. You can go first.
Love it. Love to see my boy Jet Jaguar. And no, I won't do much spoilers, but it'll be nice to see him. And coinciding with 4S Dino Zenon, I wonder if they could do that instance domination thing.
That's
a cool plot point.
That would be crazy. I would absolutely love to see that.
That's another thing too with the instance domination. So that is effectively a form of Geass. I wonder if they're gonna weave that together.
No, I hope Lelouch is like, these guys are Geassing.
Can we Geass Godzilla? Can we Geass Godzilla? Please. He's got to get up close, but please.
So I haven't seen Singular Point. I know Jet Jaguar because, you know, he's an ancient Toku android, whatever he is. But I'm assuming that like there's no way Godzilla in this iteration could be like a player unit, right? I'm assuming he's a force of nature, I'm assuming.
Kind of like Tobikage. Shows up on stages randomly and just burns shit up.
I'm assuming you've seen Singular Point, Revo, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's no way they can like make him a playable unit. Like Godzilla isn't like the 90s friendly neighborhood Godzilla.
Well, here's the thing. Because Super Robot Wars is all about that fan service.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like they could do something for that.
They made Mazinger Zero friendly, right? So, I mean...
Yeah.
Okay.
But
there,
who knows?
There could be a way.
Regardless,
like I said, just instance domination them and call it a day.
Hey, man, listen. If you got to do it, you got to do it. I can see Anti beefing with Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Godzilla. I've surprisingly seen a lot of people, you know, like in my comment section of my video being like, oh, why is this here? Like, I thought we'd be all hyped for Godzilla, but I'm sure it'll win people over by the end.
Also strange as well, we had Ultraman in the 30 DLC. We have Godzilla here. They didn't bring back Ultraman to complement Godzilla, but it is what it is.
Or Gridman to complement Dino Zenon.
I am shocked at like the fact that they're like, oh, we'll bring back Combatler, but we're not going to bring back Gridman. Maybe they wanted to save that for a proper Gridman universe debut, I guess. But you can just have both. It's not hard. Just have both. I'm also curious as well, because usually what I like to do whenever I go to the nets is I'll look at some of the new stuff that I'm unfamiliar with, and I'll like try and watch some of it before I play the game. I feel like I might give Godzilla Singularity Point a try. I'm in the process of watching through Getter Arc, because I just never got around to it when it first came through, and I'm loving Getter Arc, so I might give Singular Point a try afterwards. It's only 13 episodes, so I could probably finish that in the weekend.
I was thinking about that because I often do the same thing. Like, I'll watch one or two debuting shows. But with so few debuting stuff, I might not even do that with this one. Plus, I've seen Dino Zenon. The only one I haven't seen is Godzilla, really.
It's going to be pretty wild when Char tries to drop Axis on Earth and Godzilla says no.
I'm actually curious if this will be the plot of Char's counterattack, but that will segue into something else I want to talk about a little later. So we talked about Godzilla. Dino Zenon, I think a lot of people figured would be in the next SRW, but with the way this game may be set up, I'm surprised it's not Gridman first or both of them. So that's interesting to me. I mean, I love Dino Zenon though, so I'm glad it's here. I'm most curious, how many forms are they going to give it? Because if you've seen Dino Zenon, it has a few like configurations it can turn itself to. Not to mention its individual parts. So I'm hoping they don't skimp on that.
I'm hoping
Yeah,
they
I wonder
don't,
about that.
They don't make it attacks like they did for Gridman, but I feel like that's the easiest route for them.
Unfortunately.
And also, on the topic of Dino Zenon, I know Bao and I kind of noticed, but Revo, did you feel like its sprite looked kind of stiff when it first appeared? Like it didn't look very polished, which is such a step. I mean, listen, Mr. Arios is the guy, so we can't compare to him, but like, man, it's just a shame that it seems like Dino Zenon may not be getting as much love as Gridman did.
Yeah, I'm hoping
Yeah, it
that
kind of looks like that.
that one attack is just that one attack. Because I'm watching it now while we talk about it, and yeah, like, what is this?
It looks ripped straight out of Shin SRW.
Hoping we're wrong on that, since Dino Zenon deserves all the love. It's great.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we got that, Godzilla. Technically Macross Delta. Really, we can just say this is Delta's debut, because yeah, it's a mobile game, but first proper console SRW. I mean, I guess the same for Get a Robo Arc as well. So, I liked Macross Delta. I didn't love Delta. It's one of those shows for me that at every point I thought it was going to become amazing. It just sort of drew back a bit and stayed safe. And I have not seen the movie, so I'm curious what changes they make to that. So either of you seen Delta? I'm assuming Blake, of course, no. But
Whoa. Let's just curb that right now. I'll have you know, I, for a fact, have not seen that show. But that's besides the point. Listen, it's Macross. I love Macross. It's going to be on my team forever. They got the Macross ship in here, dude. Look at how cool it is. Like, I can't wait. This is going to be our Yamato, dude. I cannot wait to give this thing plus 12 movement and hitting away. It's going to be crazy.
And then punch things with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, so I need to catch up.
So there's not many playable units they would add from Macross Delta, but there is one person I'm hoping is a secret.
Delta's in the main timeline, right? It follows like Macross Plus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Is Macross 7 still in that timeline too?
Yeah, everything's canon.
Right, so everything in Macross follows the same timeline, it's just Farfallow.
I forgot how far in the future this one is, but yeah, all that stuff is canon. Actually, one of the characters, the main girl, well, not main girl, but the main pilot girl is one of Max and Amelia's like granddaughters.
Oh hell yeah. Where is Basara? Bring him back.
Yeah, where's my Macross 7?
See, Revo knows game. Let's go.
Maybe it'll be DLC. Who knows?
Don't you do that to me.
I hope so.
And just for the sake of things, I'll include Get a Robo Arc as a new series as well, since it's only been in a mobile game. This one I'm very excited for. I love Arc as a mech and as a show. And I am very curious how they're going to do Get a Robo Arc, because without spoilers, the ending is interesting.
Very ambiguous.
I've heard that yeah, it's kind of open-ended, so I'm curious how that's gonna. But I mean, if you also look at Witch from Mercury Season 1, we know how that Season 1 ends. You can't end a game on that. Like,
I mean, I guess they've done weirder. Freaking the first Evangelion movie was only in L.
They fast-tracked it in V.
Yeah.
he's gone for half the game, and then all the events happen in like 4 stages.
Yep.
So yeah, the roster is looking, it's not a bad roster. My thing is just that most of these shows have been in the past few games, except for like writing and the new stuff. It's just interesting to me. I expected a couple other things to come back from, I guess, the grave, like Elgon was in 30.
Honestly, the biggest shock to me of the whole presentation isn't any debut, it's that they're going back and reanimating Wing Zero.
That I'm happy about. I'm hoping is not just Hero that's being animated by Mr. Arios, because the Gundam boys deserve it after their treatment in
I'll say, you notice as
Z3.
well, they only showed Duo's like cut in. They didn't show what his sprite was gonna look like. So I'm kind of hopeful that they might all be getting the treatment. But I won't lie, after going from seeing Wing Zero and Mr. Arios to then seeing the same crusty Z3 sprite for Shin, I was like, what are we doing here? But I know that he's going to get a whole rework whenever Seed Freedom gets into the series.
Yeah, Shin showing up as just Shin was kind of funny to me because it was like directly after Wing Zero as well. It's like, oh, here's Shin. He's the same as he was before.
It's funny they did choose Shin and not Kira, because there's always that debate people have of who's the main character of Sea Destiny. It's Shin. It's Shin, guys. It's Shin.
I'm also going to assume this is post-plot Sea Destiny, which once again a shame since we never see the story of that anymore either.
Yeah, because I mean, if they had shown Shin and they had shown the Impulse, that's another thing too, because the Impulse usually follows them around anyway, because Luna Maria pilots it. So it's like you already have the sprite. You just need to make 2 more or 3 more, I guess, for like the launcher, the sword, like, and you could do it. But yeah, I sadly don't. I'm just really curious because I think in the actual series list, I think the only stuff that is confirmed units only is like the Macross. So Macross Delta is units only, but the movie has the story, I believe is how that works.
Right. Essentially, it's just going to be some unit from the show.
Yeah. So I'm wondering because they don't list any other, which is kind of wild. They don't list any other show as like units only. Like as far as we know, they are all going to have some sort of element of their story. Like you said, for G Gundam, it could just be the Dark Gundam shows up and is like, Rain, you're my mother, please help me, and then you kill it and it's gone and you never see it again. But I'm just curious to see what kind of plot points they're gonna have. What would actually be kind of nutty is if for Sea Destiny, if they let us play with Ray, if they added him, if he's just alive in this timeline.
I mean, I love
something
Gundam,
different,
so I'd be down for that.
Yeah, we've only got to use it in Z1, so, and maybe L, maybe.
Yeah, it was in K and L.
Okay.
So
yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Revo.
I wonder with the relatively small roster list, we'll be seeing a lot more of extra units from series.
I kind of hope so.
Yeah, like Mazen Kaiser. Like if we don't get boss, if we don't get fun boss,
not boss.
I'm gonna be sad because we should have gotten boss in TN30.
You mentioning that has reminded me. So in the trailer, we actually see a few enemies from these shows that have been AWOL for like the recent.
Yeah, we saw riding enemies.
Like we saw Garuda from Combattler. When the hell was the last time we saw him? The Dunbine enemies from the show, we saw a couple of them. We saw the freaking Zorth, which better be a secret. Please. I love that thing.
The Zorth was in T, and we just had to blow it up. We couldn't keep it.
Yeah, I'm hoping these shows actually have their plots, because like, even though I said a lot of these shows have been around recently, that could be a way to make them fresh again, since they don't usually have their plots anymore. So I'm very hopeful for that going by.
Them disappearing. And like look at like Zeta Gundam too. So let me look at the series list again. Is this confirmed this is not the Zeta Gundam movie?
Correct. That's the show.
That's so wild. We haven't seen that since before Z1, right?
I can't remember if they've been using a new translation.
Z1 is when they were.
You can usually tell by Camille's hair because it's a different shade depending on which continuity it is. But yeah, it's another mission actually, Double Zeta.
I'm so mad, bro. Why do they treat Double Zeta like the redheaded stepchild, bro? Like, he's so cool. We got him in, and then he wasn't T, right? I think he was in T. I love Double Zeta, dude. I could hang out with Judo and that gang forever, but they keep like just pretending he's not canon and just keep cutting him. And I always go from Camille to Amuro. Judo never doesn't exist.
Also, personally, for me, I'm hoping the Code Geass movie gets better love this time, since we saw Colin's Giganite Fortress form. So I'm hoping more mechs from that appear, even if it's just those two for Suzaku and Colin.
Yeah, we saw the Albion Zero, and then the frame coat for the Grin. So I'm assuming we're getting the frame coat for the Lancelot also.
Yeah, I'm assuming the Albion Zero isn't a secret this time as well, since they just showed it in the trailer.
I refuse to miss that thing this time if it's a secret, I swear.
Yeah, that's our series list. Take it or leave it. I think people will come around to. I've seen a lot of negative reactions, but as long as it's done justice in the game, I think it'll be fine. But something interesting we have this time is a branching story path. So 30, of course, as you know, was, I don't know what you even call that, multiple choice. You could pick and choose open world.
Yeah, pretty much.
This seems not to be quite as open-ended as that, but it reminds me more of how the systems in like MX were, where you just have main missions and side missions, but we'll have to see for sure once the game is out. But how do you guys feel about SRW still sticking to this non-linear pathing in general?
I love it. I was really hoping that they wouldn't just go back to straight linear, classic Super Robot Wars, because I feel like they could do a lot with it. So I really just want to see what they're cooking with that.
Yeah, I'm opposite. I actually was hoping they'd go back for a few reasons, mainly just because I felt like for one full playthrough of 30, it took me as long to do one full playthrough as it did to like do like 3 playthroughs of V. Like I just felt like it was a lot, and it was a little overwhelming at times. And I think I think Tarada said that it was like a nightmare to try and figure out how certain like interactions happen if you don't have certain people. So for all of those reasons, I wouldn't have wanted it to go back, but it seems like they're kind of like meeting in the middle now, where it's like it's still a linear progression in a sense, but you can just kind of, I would imagine it's kind of like a block where it's like, for example, stages 10 through 20, you can play stages 11, 13, 14, 15. You can play those in any order, and then at the end you move on to your next block. I would assume that it's something like that, which I think is probably easier to code around, but either way, I'm pretty excited. You'll be able to grind. I don't think you'll need to grind if they still have the pre-order bonus and like Ultimate Edition. Like you get like $10 billion for playing the game, so I don't think you're gonna need to grind. But I'm very interested to see how they're gonna slot all this stuff in.
Yeah. I can agree with you on how long 30 was, because I think my first playthrough was like over 100 hours.
Yeah.
It was a little daunting, and that's another thing too with this one. I just hope that it is a decent enough length to where by the time it's over, I still want to play it.
Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't take too long. And I prefer my linear SRW games just because I feel like the story structure in 30 was just not quite as good. But I am willing to see where we go from here.
Yeah, if they're just gonna scale it back, I think that's good. But like I said, that I like the idea of the system. 30 definitely had issues with how that was, but I think if they scale it back and still experimented with it a bit, then yeah, I could see it just becoming a mainstay in the series from now on.
Definitely had the time to do so as well, how long this one took. But alright, so we also have, once again, DLC announced. 2 packs. We have confirmations of the protagonists from SRW's V, X, and T, as well as Misaki. He's here, don't forget about him. So how do you guys feel about this lineup of DLC? Does it entice you to buy it?
Bro, when you can probably see in my reaction video, I'm like laying back, and then when it cuts to a still of Saji, I literally stand up and point. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not, wait a minute. Like,
I did the same thing.
I was like, wait, hold on, you can't just flashbang me with that. What's going on here? Yeah, I think that I would be cool with them relegating DLC to specifically. I think that DLC, if they are to continue with the franchise, I think it's going to be good for reintroducing some original characters. Like I was kind of hoping we would have seen like the Z characters as DLC, like Gun Leon. I was hoping for Gun Leon. Like would have been cool to see Brasta T, like all that stuff. It would be cool just to see them in the context of this game, especially because what's his face is in 30. I can't remember his name. So it wasn't Advent. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But was it Advent? Okay. So I thought they were kind of leaning towards something there. But I think as well for DLC, it would be cool if the DLC would like expanded upon shows that were already in. So like more units, like I don't know, like for Zeta, give us like the Destroy Gundam. Psycho Gundam, sorry. Psycho and Destroy. Why not? Zeta and Sea Destiny are both here. Give us Zeta and Psycho Gundam as like DLC units. But that also dips into the waters of why didn't they just include these as secrets anyway? So it's a muddy thing to be in. But I think the OG units are cool to have as DLC just because you can insert them anywhere and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, personally, I may buy the DLC for the missions, honestly, just because I have no interest in using these 4 or 5 again. Like, obviously I like Misaki, I like the Vangray, but I don't know. I just kind of want to use what's in the base game compared to these guys, which I already did full playthroughs of them for. I don't know, because maybe I'll feel the same way about any other DLC they announce, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But yeah, I tend to like these DLC missions because it can be wacky and just fun.
Did you in 30? Did you use any of like the OG DLCs, like the Altizen, the SRX? Actually, SRX was base game, but like the Altizen, Sanger. Did you use like Korio and whatnot? Did you use those in 30?
Well, remember, I had already beaten the game at that point, so I played like the DLC using the DLC. So that was kind of it. They weren't part of like my main squad. Which would probably honestly be the same thing with this. I'll probably be done with the game before all this DLC is revealed. That's another thing, which someone like me who plays these games like from beginning to end the moment they come out, the DLC is just going to be new by the time.
I think it'll enhance like New Game Plus whenever you get the itch to replay it in like 6 years. But like whenever I go back to 30, however many years in the future that's going to be, I'll have all these cool units to use, but it sucks for a first experience.
I'm also not the biggest fan of the fact that these units, we touched on this, are kind of just there, like they don't really interact with the rest of the cast or like the story. So that's just another glaring thing for me. I think DLC or W for me, just hit and miss.
Yeah, the DLC in 30 like really bloated the roster because
that as well.
The other issue is that like you can only deploy like max 20 units, and you have like what 100 of them.
Yeah, no pair up. That even just adding a pair up system would have been a cool enough shakeup for Y.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad they didn't have at least.
I feel like it's not hard to. Z3 had it, and UX and Beaks made it extremely simple. You just put 2 units together and they attack. It's not hard.
Yeah, if I was in charge, it would be that way, but sadly, they have not realized my genius yet. So yeah, as always, we get DLC. I'm sure they'll give us a stream at a future date with all the DLC revealed and all that jazz, so that'll be fun to look forward to, although I'm not getting my hopes up for being like jumping off the walls with whatever's announced, but that's just me. Alright, so we also have some new gameplay systems and other things that they showed off today. One of them being the fact that we had a support system before, but this one seems a bit of a step further. So from what I can understand, you have the support characters and they have abilities that they can get as they level up. And from what I saw in the trailer, if you use the abilities to get experience, so it gives you incentive to actually use them and not just have them sit there the entire game. But my question is, are these support units regulated to only being support units? Because there's a couple characters they showed that are support that canonically pilot mechs. The biggest one for me being the girl from Dino Zenon, who pilots Goldburn. And if I don't have my Goldburn, I'm going to be very upset because I love Goldburn. So how do you guys feel about that new system? Instead of just having, oh, this character is support and they have this and that's it.
Can I date them?
I doubt it, even though apparently there's maids, which I'm assuming are original characters.
Go full Fire Emblem.
Dude, let me date them, bro. Let me date them. Yeah, it's pretty neat. There's not really like much to say about them. It's pretty much just a revamped or I guess upgraded version of what they had already been doing. Just another way you can heinously break the game wide open. Like I know some of like the late game ones give you like zeal and bravery, and it's like, oh, didn't need that, but all right, cool. So yeah, just another way that we can kind of break the game. But I mean, not to go too far into it, but like Revo just said, like Fire Emblem would be kind of cool if you could have like specific like I guess like how do I word it, little like events that would happen every time they level up, so you can like get to know these characters more. But I'm not really sure how they would implement that.
I do think this system partly is here because of the Walker A squad from Macross Delta, who are very important characters, but they don't pilot anything, so they can't be playable. So I guess this gives you an incentive to remember that, hey, we're here.
Yeah, that'll work out for support units, or not units, but well, so going with the girl with Goldburn, it actually would be interesting as far as that system goes to literally just have her show up on the map when you use her support with Goldburn and at least get to use them.
Like, I feel like with Dino Zenon's final form, she at least has to be a sub-pilot, right? Because he makes the backpack. But
that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably. I'm just a Goldburn fan, but yeah. So something else sort of related to the gameplay and all the systems on display that I want to talk about is something that's been a topic since the first reveal, and that's the UI and overall aesthetic of the game. We saw a bit more of it today. A lot of people hoped that UI we saw originally was a placeholder, but nope, that's what we're getting. And also, if you go back, they showed off as well the battle preview screen, like when you're about to attack an enemy and it shows how much damage you do and all that. So interestingly, that uses 3D models of your mechs now, which for me looks a little out of place. That's going to take some getting used to. But the overall aesthetic of this game just feels very off compared to what we've seen before. It looks like a mobile game, which is weird because it's not on mobile.
So I brought this up in my stream. I think I pinpointed exactly why the UI looks so off to like everybody. If you look at pretty much all of the other games, the UIs are very like angular and like have just sharp angles on them. Literally everything in Y's UI is like round, like everything's rounded. And I think that's like the main jarring thing is people are used to very angular, like UI setups, whereas this just rounded literally everything off.
You see, the dialogue box and the character portrait, that doesn't bother me. It's really that HP and energy bar that just drives me up the wall. Like, it looks very cheap.
Like, just looking back to 30's UI too, I feel like 30 has so much more like ooze and zest
It looks
compared
beautiful.
to this. Yeah. Like, it just, I don't know, it feels like very, it almost feels like they were trying, it's like how Ghost of Tsushima is like a very minimal UI, but I'm like, I don't know if you necessarily want a minimal UI for a game like this, because I feel like you kind of want to know your stuff, but yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah,
I'll get used to it.
Yeah, I think it'll grow on me, but
Like, I don't think I could ever get to the point where I consider this, like, not even satisfactory, because, I mean, bro, just look at it, but I'm sure it won't, like, bother my playthrough, so to speak.
well, I wonder too, because 30 had the ability to turn off the UI. I wonder if this game's gonna do the same.
I don't remember it doing that. But I'm not one of those people that, like, having no UI enhances my, like, experience in the game or whatever, so that's never just occurred to me to even do. Also, I wanted to bring up, there is a big, I guess you could call it rumor, suspicion, that this is going to be the first part of a new multi-series, and we do have some, I guess, signs of that, but obviously we have zero confirmation at this point. It's just a fan theory. The biggest part of that kicked that off was the fact we only have season 1 of The Witch from Mercury, which for those, if you haven't seen The Witch from Mercury, season 1, not a whole lot of overarching plot stuff happens. It's more grounded character stuff, and season 2 is where, like, shit kind of hits the fan. But well, me going back to look at this list, I can kind of actually see it, because if you really look at it, we have Dunbine, which you could turn into Wings of Reen, Combatler, he could of course have his sister series get in. UC Gundam kind of writes itself after Char's counterattack. You can bring in Unicorn, Narrative, Hathaway. It's just a million different things you could do with that. Endless Waltz, you could technically do something with, I guess, if you want to bring in like Glory of the Losers, but I don't expect that. Seed Destiny, of course, Seed Freedom is now a thing. Wish for Mercury season 1, of course, has season 2. Let's see.
The G Gundam anniversary manga?
I think that's a novel, which
Is it? I mean,
Possible.
they've done things before.
I mean, it's possible, but don't get your hopes up for that. We have the Code Geass movie, which we now have Code Geass Rose of the recapture. Dino Zenon, we have the Gridman movie. There's just a lot of room for sequels in this list, and at the moment, I can see this going 50-50, honestly. It's like, it seems so obvious and kind of weird if they don't, but I don't know. Bandai Namco, that's my answer for everything. Can't trust them.
Man, like, yeah, there's so much potential here, but it's like, are they limited by budget? Is that what it comes down to? Yeah, I didn't even really like think about it in terms of like, because of course we had been thinking about like, is this part of a series? But honestly, as soon as I saw Char's counterattack, I'm like, starting with Char's counterattack, there's no way it's multi-part. But then you mentioned Unicorn and even Narrative. Like, you can still go past like with UC, and I'm like, oh, they really could do it. So I want to believe.
I think by the end
Bring
of this
back Victory.
game, we'll know for sure.
Bro, Narrative got cut. Why is it that when I like a UC property, it's not allowed to come back? I swear.
What were you saying, Revo? Bring back what?
Bring back Victory.
Oh no.
You know what? Actually, I'm okay with this. On second thought, I'm okay with Narrative being cut. It's okay.
I don't know why Victory was there, but actually, I don't know
People
why.
love Victory.
So that was the problem I had with 30 on a personal level. It's just a lot of stories that took center stage, just properties I just don't care for. And hopefully that won't be the same for me in this game. Although Majestic Prince is still here, but
Yeah. What was I about to say? There was something. I lost my train of thought. We'll come back to that. What was I? Oh man, I completely just shot my train of thought. Victory Gundam. Nope, it's gone. All right, I'll come back to that.
but yeah. Do you feel either way, Revo? Do you think this is going to be part 1 of a bigger series, or you think it's just a one-off until the next game?
I feel like it'll be kind of weak if it does just end up being one game. So it's either going to be split into 2 parts, or they're going to lean way further into the DLC, and Witch from Mercury Season 2 will be DLC, or yeah, we'll get
That's
like
the
Wings
thing.
of Reen.
Disgusting. lives.
That-
That's
yeah.
gross.
Because, like, how do you have a sequel and there's DLC in between it? Do those units then become integrated into
point.
game of the next one?
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Because if
Yeah.
if they add or what they just people just get lost between the first game and the second game, and then they get reintroduced again as DLC. Hey, guy, I mean, with Masaki, you can keep doing that with Masaki till the day that guy dies. Motherfucker is never gonna find his way home. All right, but still, it's just how do you DLC muddies everything? I swear.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The fact you bring that up makes me inclined to lean more towards no, not being a part-time thing. And Revo saying like they could just do Wish for Mercury Season 2 as DLC. For the love of God, no. Do not do that.
I mean, yeah, that would not be great, and
Hey, man,
that is
they-
kind of a worry.
They did the I almost said Walguru movie, the Majestic Prince movie, as DLC, and I think that had the movie plot in it. I could be wrong. I got the unit, and then I was like, I hate this unit, and moved on. But man, chat, you're gonna when Witch for Mercury Season 2 is DLC, RevoSKL on Discord or on Twitter, bro. You gotta go talk to him. He brought it into the world.
Yep, just blame me.
I guess we'll find out once the game is out. But yeah, uncertain times for SRW, even after getting a new game out. So of course, with a new SRW game means a new Jam Project song. I didn't really listen to it too much, but I believe it's called Fight Back. Do you guys have thoughts on this, if you listen to it at all?
Revo, you can take this one.
Jam Project always makes bangers for Super Robot Wars. What can I say? Like, while we were listening to it, in my chat, some people were saying that Jam Project could potentially be retiring soon.
What?
Which, I mean, those
they're
guys are like
getting up
pushing
there.
60. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see.
I'll be sad, of
but I
course,
mean-
that I think they've more than earned a retirement if they want. If they choose to do that, I won't be mad.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's a Jam Project song.
Yeah, so there has been, like, usually Jam Project music always invokes like some level of hype for you. I think the only time it hasn't was the Jam Project song they made for Super Wars X Warriors. I don't know, it's grown on me, but when I first heard it, it should turn me off. But as soon as I heard like a little bit of Fight Back, I was already popping off, bro. Like, this song sounds hype. Like when you boot up Super Wars 30 for the first time and they're like yelling in your ears, dude, you know you're in for something special. And I'm getting that very same feel from Fight Back. I am ready to fight back.
Yeah, I think once, the Jam Project song plays at the last boss fight, as they do, then, oh yeah, that's gonna be it.
Can't wait to hear the full version. So, the last big thing I want to talk about is our new original crew. So, we have our main character and his subordinate. They're a part of I don't know how this works in the context of this world, but a ninja organization called Oboro. So, our main character is their leader, and his apprentice is the girl in the red version of the OG mech, the Grand, what was it called? Lanrash, whatever. But yeah, interesting originals with no other ninja IP in sight, but I don't know how to feel about them yet. I don't dislike them. I don't like their designs, I'll say that. They just seem very, very out there, like very busy. I'm not the biggest fan of
Are you getting Chitose vibes off them? Is that what you're implying?
Nah, that's a whole different can of worms. But we also have
Hey, she's gonna be in this game too.
we also have a ship, which also has a giant city inside of it. And I don't know how she correlates to like our crew, because I don't think she's part of Oboro, unless that was part of dialogue I missed. But seems a lot to be going on with these originals. I will say I like the fact it's not just one character and one mech and that's it. Like, we have a whole crew, and now we also have a ship that has a city inside of it. That's pretty cool, but I need to see more of them, and I'm also curious if our main mech transforms. Although if I had to take a guess, since there's two of them in their recolors, they might fuse into one big ninja by the end, but we'll see.
Please.
How do you guys feel about this?
Dude, I think Reva and I were talking about this when they first got announced about a month ago. I think we both pretty much unanimously think this stuff's cool. I think, Reva, you said it was designed by the same mech artist as Gunleon, yeah?
Yep,
Same
and
work.
compatible Kaiser.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna fuse just based off that alone, but I'm saying that it would kind of work. Be kind of dope is that if they, bro, they're ninjas. Like, literally fusion, ha, and bam. Do the dance, do the fusion,
I don't
become
think
super powered.
those were ninjas in Dragon Ball Z, but go on, keep going.
Hey, listen, you didn't watch the same Dragon Ball Z I watched. It's all right. But like, yeah, I think it can be really cool. I really love how he has like, I guess you can call it a thunder break. I just call it Kirin because it looks like what Sasuke does when he like calls down like the thunder with the finger. I love that. I am so hyped for these OGs. And I'm happy that I am because everyone who knows me knows I was not the biggest fan of the Huckabine 30. Still not the biggest fan of the Huckabine 30. Historically, the only time I've benched an OG character before. So I am very excited with these two new additions.
I think my only disappointment with this is that we basically just get two recolors of the same unit. Whereas, like, I would have liked like a Z, Setsuko and the Virgola are like your more real type unit. And then Gunleon's like your super type. I would have liked a bit more of a, one unit is a super type, one's a real.
Even going back to Setsuko, her and her crew, like, it was kind of that same dynamic in a way. She was a subordinate of the others, and she didn't have the main mech at first. Like, hers was more basic, and then there was like the commander unit. Kind of wish there was a slight difference like that here. Like, our apprentice had a slightly lesser ninja mech, but it is what it is. But with this giant ship, how do you guys feel about it?
I love the giant ship. And so the Dreistrager in 30 was huge. It was, 2 kilometers long or something? This one should be at least about the same size, if not even bigger, since, it's an entire, city, I guess. I love the design of the thing, though. I'm getting major, Dome City vibes, which I was joking around with my chat to where, Zabungle confirmed if this is going to be a two-parter game, things are going to go bad and it's going to crash land and it's just going to become a dome city, and then Zabungle happens and just integrates with the domed cities.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, isn't this just a Macross ship? They've got a giant ass city and they go through space, and then I saw it in the atmosphere firing missiles at a lowly soldier, and I'm like, is that really necessary? Is this really necessary? Brother is huge. Like you said, Dreistrager was 2 kilometers. How big is this thing? If it's got a whole, at least what we could assume to be a civilization on it. And I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it'd be hilarious if they were somehow incubating Godzilla in that whole thing and there was actually no one living inside of it. It'd be very funny.
Wow, that's a hell of a twist. But yeah, we also have a giant Macross ship itself in here, so lots of big ships around this time.
Missed opportunity that we have 2 full cities and we don't have a full city, if you know what I mean.
No idea.
Yeah, that makes me wonder too, if we're gonna get any of the battleships from Seed Destiny then, or any of them from Zeta Gundam or Char's Counterattack on top of.
Well, we're shockingly getting the one from Dunbine of all things, which I don't think we've seen that since the PS1 era.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped because it feels like we really are getting Dunbine plot. I'm very excited to experience that.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. Overall, my thoughts on the game is SRW, how passionate I am about the series. I will be playing it, looking forward to it. I'm hoping it exceeds my expectations. I'm just very curious if this will be a 1-parter or a 2-parter. I'm sure by the end of the game, we'll know with what they have set up.
That would be so cool to find out, at a post-credit scene that's because Z3 did that. They showed the lead into Tengoku where they had the blue unicorn, and they showed a trailer for the Leviathan for Sosuke Sagara. It'd be really cool just to discover that and not have anyone spoil it or leak it beforehand. It'd be really cool just to get to the end and then it's okay, this is what we're doing. But the internet being the internet, I'm sure someone day one will be like, guys, look at this, look what I found. I spent the whole game and I got to the end and now look at this.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do that. Their first playthrough, they skip through every cutscene, just reach the end.
I follow so many SW guys on Twitter and YouTube, and I'm gonna have to mute or ban or block or whatever, because I think that's what happened with I can't remember his name, but I YouTube unsubscribed him, and I'm like, did I? Yeah, yeah.
Might have to do it to me, I'll be honest.
You are a speedrunner. I don't hold that against you.
I probably won't speedrun this game right off the bat, but
he said right off the bat, chat. Just wait.
I will
give it as soon as he's done his first playthrough. He said, "All right, now can we do it in sub 20?"
Sub 20.
That's funny about the whole Advent thing. I technically got spoiled on Advent in a thumbnail, but
I did too.
I assumed it wasn't real because why would he be? So until he popped up in my game, I didn't even think about it. So I thought it was just fake.
Yeah, it's so funny because he just shows up and he's like, you guys look strong. Goku, is that you?
Yeah, he was just chilling, And
it's also I wonder if there's any plot relevance or if it's just fan service. You don't know.
Well, so he had a lot of dialogue that was like he knew because he is the one from Z3. He basically just got wrecked and then dimension hopped to this one and was like, well, I guess I'll just hang out here, I guess.
Okay, cool.
And then when you guys showed up and went to fight him, if you fight him with certain units that were in Z3, he will comment on, oh, you're like this person, or I fought you before, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he says that if you put him against Shinobu, he says this is my first time fighting a Dan Koga.
Yeah.
Hopefully something just comes out of that someday with whatever they want to do with OG or whatever. But yeah. So,
I'm kind of hoping with post-game, like maybe DLC or whatever, like just give us, so they're giving us, you know, OGs. Give us some OG villains. Like, give us a stage that's just a super boss with freaking Kaiser Ephes from Alpha 3.
Jeez.
Like, that would
Can
be
you
sweet.
imagine freaking Ingram popping up just out of nowhere? Or Shu. Oh my gosh, Masaki's here. They really could just, they could put Shu in this game just for shits and giggles. Just be funny.
Good. But yeah, that is SRWY. I hope everyone is looking forward to it. We may do another discussion after the game drops. That would be interesting to hear our thoughts about everything. We should be able to have Jamad on for that one as well. She's interested, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Blake and Revo, for joining me on this. And we will see you later.
Deuces, people.
Goodbye.